Hey, in this video I'm gonna share a few things that I learned when I grew my Instagram to 10,000 followers. It was a long road and I made a lot of mistakes, and I want to kind of share some of the mistakes and things that I learned during the way. And I'm sure that these are gonna be tips that are not just relevant for 2019, but like they're generally applicable on social media. And if you're an artist or an illustrator, this video is gonna be specifically for you. So if that's you, keep listening. So I'm gonna go over 5 tips, and then I'm gonna have like smaller extra bits of what I learned about social media, and especially Instagram when I started it. And I started it a few years ago, but back then I had like 0 followers. I thought that I could just bring on people from my different galleries, but like literally no one came. Like transferring people from one social media account to another is really hard, because also you don't know how active those people in the different galleries anymore are, and they are maybe used to like Twitter, for example, and they don't want to change. So you might need to start from scratch if you are just starting out a gallery. So the first tip I would say is that Instagram is a social media platform, and what that means is that you need to actually talk to people. This should go without saying, but you wouldn't believe how often I get people asking me of like how to grow on Instagram, and then I go to their pages and they have beautiful finished polished artwork, and then when I look at the comments, like they aren't replying any of them. It's like really weird. Like, do you just think that you're there to be admired? Think about this situation in real world. Like, I have just finished a painting and I show it to somebody and they're like, Mikko, that's a really nice painting, I really like what you did with this piece here. And then I would be just like what the hell? Like, would you ever talk to that person ever again? Like, seriously, you would just leave and assume that they don't care what you have to say. Like, you have to react. And also think about this as like the really good opportunity to connect with people that are just like you. I mean, like, they came to your page and like looked at your artwork. Like, chances are that they're your kind of people. Like, these are like specifically the kind of people that you want to hang out with. So now that they are there and they are reaching out to you, reply and comment back and have a conversation. Just like, generally, if there's one tip that I can give in this whole video, it's just like, just be nice. Honestly, it's so simple, but like, just be nice and have like a giving attitude. When you have other artists on the same platform, don't think that if you go on their like page and comment on their paintings or like their paintings, like that's nothing away from you. Like, I'm firmly believe that like raising water raises all boats. So just have a giving, kind attitude. And you shouldn't assume that you just start an Instagram account and you're famous instantly. This is probably not gonna happen. And just goes to my previous point with connection, is that popularity isn't the same as connecting with people. Popularity is not the same as impact. And what you want to do is like have impact and connection with more people that are like-minded or potential clients that are like you. This is the end goal of this, not to make the vanity metrics go up, because the numbers don't mean anything, really they don't. But if you make true connections with like-minded people that can support your art or be potential clients, that is what matters. Second tip is that social media, and especially Instagram, is a skill. And the sooner you learn this, the sooner it is gonna be easier for you to accept that you are gonna make mistakes, and it's like a progressive skill level thing, that you are gonna keep making mistakes and you learn from them, and you're gonna develop your own process of how to make posts that are effective. It's not like over the past few years, like my own art skills have suddenly like skyrocketed. Like, that's not the case. I've been doing this for how long? Like multiple years now. It's not like I'm having like a lot of like technical skill progress at this point. Like I'm really old. Oh, I should stop talking about this. I'm getting back to the point now. The point is that I didn't know how to use Instagram. And I thought that it's a skill that comes naturally to everybody, just like talking and walking, but this is not the case. There are really specific processes, and the processes are specific to what kind of art you make. Do you make video content? Do you have story content that like interacts with your Instagram posts? That is what your personality is on Instagram, and the way you fine-tune that process. How do you develop the content creation in a way that it doesn't cause you too much stress? That all is like a ongoing skill. When you start having enough paintings in your Instagram gallery, you'll have enough data to kind of look at the data and see what works. What is in that area of like the things that you like to paint and the things that you are really good at communicating that connects with people. Like where is that middle point where you can have it both ways and have interaction and engagement with your audience and still enjoy your work. And that whole process is going to just need a lot of like just a bigger body of work to see what works and what doesn't. This all is like an ongoing skill, and you shouldn't just like quit too early because it's gonna be a longer road. Third tip is that you need to fail. And I don't mean this in like a generic hug the trees kind of like you need to experience failure type of way, but I concretely mean that you need to do posts that fail. Because I'm sure a lot of you, probably most of you, think just like me that there is this reputation that you need to kind of take care of, and if you post a wrong type of painting, that your reputation will be ruined. This is why you need to fail fast and fail often to understand that this is not the case. Instagram algorithm cares a lot about consistency and quantity, so you need to post consistently often and have a lot of posts so that you create consistently a lot of art. And in the process of making a lot of art, you are going to make just bad paintings that just don't work. And this is fine because the opposite is also true. The more you have work, the higher chances of you having great work like happens automatically through that process. Think about it like buying lottery tickets. Like you are increasing your chances the more you just kind of like keep repeating. You are increasing your odds of just reaching more people every time. Every time you use those same hashtags, like every time you tell Instagram algorithm that like this dude is serious about this specific topic, maybe we should like rank him higher in this feed. And your reputation is not going to be ruined. Like I just want to be really clear about that. And this might sound kind of harsh, but people just don't care that much. I mean, honestly, like they're all worried about their own art and the way that other people perceive them. If you're gonna make bad drawings every now and then, like that's not gonna destroy you. You're human, and just being okay with who you are and where you are at with your art skills at this very point, that matters. Try to feel comfortable with your current art skills and don't feel too much pressure about just like trying to put the highlight reel out there all the time. 4. Learn to target your kind of people. This should be apparent in everything that you make, the kind of posts that you make, the kind of captions you write, the kind of stories you make for them, everything. Everything should be kind of custom made for the people that you want to connect with. Like if you're trying to reach out to clients, you have to understand where they are, and if they go on Instagram, what are they looking for. Use those hashtags or follow the same accounts that they might be following. You have to be involved with the same kind of things that the people you are searching for are hanging out with. And try to define like what is that kind of person that you want to talk to. Like, is it a similar person like yourself, for example? Like, then you should be really open about your own interests and showing that to other people. I never thought I would say this, but I've had like the best freelance clients over the past few years, because they are my kind of people. Like, they come to my gallery and they just point to my pieces like, can you make more of this stuff that you are already making? And like, that is just so much fun to make. And I honestly, I used to hate doing client work because it was always kind of technical and boring, but it was all my fault. Like, this was on me, this was not on them. I wasn't showing my real self in my paintings and the kind of like, for example, illustrations that I want to make. I wasn't even labeling myself as an illustrator before. And the second I started making the kind of art that I want to make, like, instantly I started getting clients that want to order specifically the kind of art that only I can make, and that is so much fun for me. And the kind of clients that I now get, because my Instagram gallery is like authentic, like it's a representation of myself. Like, when I have talks with my clients, it's like I'm talking with friends, because they found me, like, this system actually works. And this is kind of like a long process, but just being brave and kind of following your fears is usually like a very easy way to find connection of like what kind of an artist you are. You don't need to like find like a niche that is specific to you, but you need to find your own voice. And this is why also like failing a lot is important, because through that you kind of like become more I don't want to say fearless, because fearless people are crazy, but you become more brave of expressing yourself and your own feelings. And people want to connect with like real people. And if you have an Instagram feed where everything you like post on your stories and in your paintings and in your captions, it has to feel true. Just ask yourself when you do a painting and write a caption, is this true? Then you are kind of already onto something. But if you're just setting out to like impress people, I think the audience can smell that a mile away and it won't appear authentic. If you're just trying to impress with your skill, that's not gonna go very far. And especially if you're trying to get clients, if you're just like focused too much on your skill, I guarantee you that that product can be ordered and outsourced from different locations and parts of the world for cheaper and probably technically better. It's just, you should be competing with your own terms. You can only set scarcity for your own work yourself. Like, you decide how much of those kinds of paintings that you make get made and for whom. And if you are the only person in the world who provides that product, then you are in demand. But if you're just competing with everybody else, then you need to do like a price war with the same people, and you need to be in this like constant treadmill to nowhere, because somebody is gonna be always cheaper and somebody's always gonna be technically more proficient if you're just competing who paints the most realistic skin pores or hair strands. Don't do that. Like, try to find your own voice and find what you love about art, and it will translate into you being more authentic. And in regards to this, I've seen a lot of like Instagram tutorial videos for artists. It's like, this is how I got 5k or 10k followers in a day. You don't want that to happen, because you want those people, those 10k people, to be people that connect with you and who you are. If you have this kind of like overnight viral success and you manage to get that many followers suddenly, I guarantee you that your engagement will just like plummet down and you will never ever recover. But if you are consistent, keep consistently producing more work that is like authentic, and you are replying to comments, you form those connections, you will build a better 10K than an overnight 10K. So take that information and think about it when you feel kind of like discouraged that you should already be somewhere else. You should only be competing with how you did in the past and how you are doing in the future. Like, you shouldn't be looking at anybody else, because you are on your own path and it's gonna have a lot of like ups and downs, and you should be focused on the like long goal and not just give up when things get hard. Things are gonna get hard, I promise you that, but you should expect it. Fifth tip has something to do with the painting itself. Like, always look for visual impact. Think about what aspects in your painting lead to the main focal point of your piece, and what is like the main point of contrast, or what kind of color contrast you have in your piece. Your painting should always have a mood. If your painting doesn't have a mood, you should literally drop everything that you are doing, like everything, and focus on the mood first. Like, I don't care if you have to paint half of the image again, just as long as you like get to the mood first, then you can focus on the other stuff. But if you're working on the piece and you just like ask yourself like, is the mood there yet? If it's not, you should like stop everything that you're doing and just like make drastic changes and focus on the mood. Because people are browsing Instagram in a very fast pace, and your picture might go by in less than a second. And in that time frame, your picture should have a strong visual hook that makes you like kind of focus, what is this? Like, if your painting doesn't have that, like, just focus on having visual impact and making sure that you yourself know what that visual hook in your painting is. And just think about this, like, for example, when you're making painstaking details, it's like, ask yourself, is this contributing to the visual impact of this piece? If not, you should like focus on that first and make sure it works. Or if you are already done with that part of your painting, ask, if is this piece that I'm now adding to this painting, is it distracting from the visual impact of this piece? If the answer is yes, just delete that part. Like, simplify it. You should always work for like whatever gives the most direct communication of the message and the mood and the lighting and the scene. What is easy to read. Those things are what should be your priority when you're painting. Everything else should be secondary or should be just completely deleted. Visual impact is really important, and this is basically what the whole composition is about, like the whole art of composition. Once you learn to create those visual hooks in your paintings, you kind of have this whole painting thing down, and then you can just produce work. So those are my main tips, but if you made it this far, here are a few like quick ones that you can use. Always automate everything that you possibly can. Like, for example, for hashtags, I use SmartHash. I know there are a lot of apps like that, but in there I save all of my hashtags in different categories, and those categories are for different styles of illustrations. So if I post, for example, in illustration style, I have a separate category for that, and then I just copy paste 15 of those tags, and then the rest I will write by hand because they need to be specific to what that image is. Instagram is really good at recognizing what your picture is about, so your hashtags should reflect that, and they shouldn't be just generic. Also, you shouldn't constantly be repeating the same hashtags, otherwise Instagram will think you are spamming it and you might get shadow banned. Also, remember to leave a few extra slots for not using all of the tags, because we all know that Instagram has this limit of 30 hashtags under which they kind of get disabled, but that number also gets used when other people use hashtags in the comments, or if they are tagging other people in the comments. So you should leave a few slots open for that instance, just so that you are always under the limit of 30. Also, whenever posting video, and I have made these terrible mistakes several times, when you're posting video, remember to set your thumbnail image before you actually post the image, because you won't be able to even edit the thumbnail of the video afterwards. And in your gallery view, it's gonna look really bad if, for example, the beginning screen is black screen or something. So don't do that. Okay, a lot of the Instagram users browse stories that they might not even go into the feed. So always have previews for your Instagram posts there when you do one. And use hashtags always in your Instagram stories as well. They don't have to be visible. You can kind of like write them down and then squeeze them so that they are the same color as the story itself and not visible. But they will still work and those hashtags will still be active when people are browsing content on Instagram. And this is kind of like a fundamental thing, but don't review your own work. Like, use your best judgment when you're painting and be critical of your like composition and colors when you are doing the painting, but when you are finished, publish it on Instagram. Don't like leave it unpublished. Don't leave anything unpublished. Like, you should finish all of your art and publish them. This is kind of from my personal experience, because last year, for example, almost all of my top 10 posts, they were the kind of posts that I thought like, oh, this is so bad that I can't possibly publish this on my gallery. Like, I'm just gonna leave it. And I'm glad I didn't, because I had no idea how successful they were gonna be. When you're done painting, chances are that you are really bad at reviewing your own work. So don't do it. What you should be thinking about is publishing and thinking about your next piece. Don't start wallowing on how you did or how people react. Just think about the next work and make sure that you publish every single time. Okay, I'm Mikko and I hope this has been helpful for you. If you have any further questions, feel free to comment or send me a DM here or Instagram, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!